We are the Fashion Daddies.
Well, hello, Fashion Daddy Nick.
Hi.
Here we are for another episode of the Fashion Daddies.
Yes, this is the Fashion Daddies podcast.
Yes.
And we're very thankful you're here.
Yeah, we realize that we just kind of start out and sometimes people might not even know who we are.
What they just think, who are these two gays talking about fashion and figure skating and stuff?
And what am I watching? And wait, how did I get here?
Or listening? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
we're happy you got here.
I'm David Paul.
I'm Nick Varios.
And we're called the Fashion Daddies. And we talk about all things fashion. And our last podcast, we talked about Couture Week. And had a nice little discussion about
sure did.
couture, modern day couture, and the state of the couture fashion world.
The couture fashion non-business turned into marketing, and God bless those 1,000 clients that hopefully are still ordering and not getting it for free like the celebrities.
But what we wanted to do was a follow-up, because while Couture Week was happening, they were having an amazing couture auction.
They? Who's they?
Well, I say they, but it was really the Queen of Couture, who is...
well, the Queen of Couture, she is Mouna Ayoub.
Yes.
And yes, she has been dubbed the Queen of Couture, and that is because she probably owns the highest amount of haute couture clothing of anyone, I guess, who's still alive.
Yeah.
And thank God for that. Well, she wanted to get rid of some.
Yeah, and that's why I say they, because someone with the largest collection of couture needs assistance. And so she needed an auction house. In fact,
several. Several houses got together. The Chez Maurice, which is a famous auction house in Paris, as well as Carrie Taylor, who we know.
Right.
Who we talked about. Yeah. We did a podcast on her auctions that she has. A lot of them, they're based in London. And so they got together for what they dubbed Dior Masterpieces, the Mouna Ayoub Haute Couture collection. And just this auction was only some, not all, of her Christian Dior Haute Couture pieces.
Wow.
If you can imagine that. So it's like she literally could have like different auctions for different designers.
Right.
That she ordered from. In case you don't know, she's one of Couture's, like we said, biggest and most prolific clients, starting in the 80s and through the early aughts, perhaps compiling thousands of prized haute couture garments. So, in our last podcast, we talked about how most of the clients are in couture heaven. And again, there used to be maybe 40, 50,000 and now just 1,000. Well, she was one of those, she was holding the flame, honey.
Well, so Daddy Nick and I are old enough to remember when the Nan Kempners, the Lynn Wyatts, when they were still alive and ordering. Yeah. And I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I felt when it was happening.
Yeah.
Mouna was the new kid on the block.
Yes. Yeah.
And she was kind of she was not.
No. You the other lady, the Lynn Wyatts and the Nan Kempners were kind of going.
Yeah. Who is this?
Sit in the second row, darling.
Right. And she, while they would buy one of this, or maybe one thing a season,
right,
or one per designer of a couple designers, right. I don't know, she would buy dozens.
Mouna,
yes.
Oh yeah,
Mouna would buy dozens.
So little do you know, these American socialites were poo-pooing her, and she's in the back going, "Girl, I'm keeping this whole design house afloat."
Yeah.
basically. I mean,
so
it's crazy. So she, if you wonder where'd she get her money?
Yes.
she was married to Saudi billion with a B, Nasser Ibrahim Al Rashid. She married him in 1979. She's divorced him.
Okay.
But yeah, so she married him, and early on, her first ever haute couture piece was for a wedding dress that she needed. And so she went shopping for Jean-Louis Cherrer, and so that was her first experience. And she said after that, she just bit the bug. She got the couture bug from that moment on, and started attending the shows and buying. At one point, I read she said that she went to Yves Saint Laurent, her first time ordering from Yves Saint Laurent, and she ordered like 10 things, and her husband paid for them.
Yeah.
But he never saw them. And then they got divorced, and he's like, they went to lunch or something, and her husband's like, they were divorced already, and he's like, hey, am I ever going to see what I paid for? And she's like, it's none of your business.
And didn't he come with her after the show to select the pieces she wanted to purchase?
Yes.
And he says, yes, we'll take all of those, but long sleeves on that, high neck on this, changing all the designs.
To Yves Saint Laurent. This was for Yves Saint Laurent.
To himself, to the Yves Saint Laurent.
And let me just say that you didn't do that.
Yeah.
With Yves Saint Laurent, even Nan Kempner and Lynn White would say, like, you don't change a thing. Because that's an insult.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want it in a different color. I want to change the back. No. And the husband's like, do that. And so what did Mouna do?
Well, then the husband left to do...
He wrote the check.
He wrote the check, and went off to do his
meetings,
billion-dollar business meetings.
Yeah.
And when he left the room, she said, do not change a thing. Do not keep everything the way you designed it. And didn't he say, well, what about your husband?
Yeah.
And she said, he'll never see them.
Right, he'll never see them.
And clearly he didn't.
No.
Because he was asking about them.
Yeah. Amazing. We love her. Love her. She has been quoted to say that in couture, nothing is too expensive for me. Now, talking about how many pieces she has and what does she do with them, she houses them at a warehouse.
Wow.
In Paris, and it's a staffed warehouse. So this ain't like Madonna, who like has one of those warehouses. What do you call them? Storage houses that you have to open the gate and whenever you want to go.
That's not what Madonna's is. Refrigerated and perfect. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We'll talk. Anyway, so she has it, and she said that she has them all in a refrigerated, area.
Yes.
And they're all, she said, in fact, everything is wrapped in tissues like they are in museums. The same silk tissues that are used by the Met, by the Louvre. That's how she keeps them.
Wow.
I mean, it's incredible. She described, there's an interview that just happened, and I loved it right before the auction. She described the process of couture. So let me just read this, and then we'll get to the auction and some of the basically 3 or 4 of the key pieces and how much they sold for. You are going to die when I'm going to tell you how much they sold for these couture pieces. It was unbelievable. She said, this is the process of couture. You choose what you need. Now, she says, before, I used to choose a lot. God bless her. She says, I was obsessed with couture. Now, of course, things have changed, and couture has become much more expensive than it used to. So she says, I have to be careful. That hasn't stopped her, all right? She says, then, after you choose the premier, which is the top person who puts together the garments, comes in and does the first fitting on a toile, which is the muslin. So you have a first fitting. That's when you pay 50% down up front. You make a 50% down payment on your order. Okay? I mean, it's like buying a house.
Yeah.
Then she does the toile. So you make the 50, you put the 50% down on that $50,000 dress, and then she's like, okay, now that we got that, I'm going to sew up your muslin. So she does that after the toile. Then obviously you have a fitting and you check. You're like, I like this, I don't like that. Maybe I want the sleeve 1 inch longer, this and that. Then she basically has said the toile, that moment is the decisive moment confirming your order. After that, then the fabric is cut, and then you do your first fitting with the actual fabric a month later. And she said that she's known to do, Mouna Ayoub is known to do the most fittings, she says, of all the clients, because she says she's a perfectionist. And you know, she sees every detail. And she says, she admits she's become more difficult as now that she knows so much about the process. So once you do that, then you pay the other 50%. And then you take delivery of your dress. That's it. Easy peasy. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the process of being a client for Haute Couture.
I wonder how long the whole process takes. Yeah.
I would say maybe 3 months or so, something like that. Because you see the show, let's say you see the show in January, and it's for spring, summer, you want it by April.
Right. Because technically you're supposed to be wearing it for the season.
Spring, summer.
And then I would assume, just from a business standpoint, the workers, what was she called? The
premiere. Yeah.
She needs to move on to the next season. So you've got to keep it moving. Yeah. So yes, I'm sure it takes a long time, but they have all the mechanisms to keep it going.
Yeah. I just love again that she was dishing it out, like the info, because a lot of times, you know, you would never ever, you couldn't even talk to actual couture clients. They would just be very hush-hush about it. And so, you know, for her to be like, yeah, this is what I did. Yeah. And I did 50%, and then I did 50%. And then, I love it. I freaking love it. All right, let's get to this auction.
Yeah.
I mean, a one-of-a-kind auction for Mouna Ayoub's Dior Haute Couture collection. 95 lots, meaning looks, pieces, were up for sale belonging to her. And it was said, the founder of the Maurice auction said, it will probably be the sale of the 21st century when it comes to haute couture fashion. It totaled 6.19 million euros.
Wow.
Euros, which is about $7.3 million. That's how much money the auction house has raked in from her couture. Breaking the world record for haute couture sale, as well as a world record for Gianfranco Ferré, John Galliano, and Ralph Simmons pieces. I mean, wow. She must have been, you know, she done popped a bottle of champagne. I mean, she felt sad getting rid of her couture pieces, her babies.
I can imagine.
But I know that she felt that she'd rather they go to someone, whether it be a museum or a private client, than sit in that warehouse. Don't you think?
Yeah, and I think that she wanted to prove their value.
She sure did.
Yeah, I think she wanted to prove that these are important pieces, that couture is important.
Right.
And its value is important.
Good point.
You know, and it's not just going to sit in a closet and sort of disintegrate and lose all its value. Right. But these are valuable pieces.
Wait until I tell you.
Tell us.
Okay?
Tell us.
By the way, there were some serious collectors, including lots of museums.
Of course.
And vintage boutique buyers and sellers from Los Angeles, New York, Paris, Tokyo. They were on the phone, honey, or there in Paris for this auction. As well, actress Stephanie Seymour was spotted. And the Dior Heritage team was there. Seeing if they could what, Daddy David?
Yeah, for their archives.
Get their stuff back.
Get the stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it just gives me the chills. It is just so incredible. All right, so let's let's just talk about the astounding numbers of what Mouna Ayoub's couture sold for. And now, these numbers I'm going to say, they include the auction house's fees. By the way, they get a fee. I don't know. It's like 5%, 10% or something.
Right.
But I'll just give you the total.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The number one, and what the garment was, by the way, the number one highest bid went to this design, this gown. It was from John Galliano, Dior, Christian Dior Haute Couture collection from Spring Summer 2000, which, if you know your fashion, it was his infamous clochard or homeless collection, where he did an entire collection based on the homeless that he would see in Paris, and people were aghast.
Yeah.
They were like, how could he?
Very controversial.
Some of these designs, clothing, it looked like the homeless, and they were stuck with newspapers on them as if they were had slept all night, and people were just like, you're asking me to pay $100,000 for that, to look like a it wasn't even homeless chic, because there was no chic, according to them.
But besides, the clients being aghast for what they, are you going to make me purchase something that looks like it's worn by a homeless? Many people felt it was insulting to the unhoused community.
Oh, that's very nice.
But, it was just kind of, obviously, he's spoken about it. He feels that wasn't his intention.
No.
But it was almost mocking or making fun or using them as something that was almost glamorous, when in many situations,
well, definitely you're glamorizing it because you're bringing it to this couture level,
right?
Where these very wealthy billionaires are sitting in the front row, looking up at this. So yes, I remember him even in 2000 when this was shown. Well, there's he was kind of canceled in a way, because it was talked about. It was very scandalous. Well, not to Mouna, because she ordered like honey, like they were gonna run out of paper towels or toilet paper, right? She was like, while everybody else was like, oh mon Dieu, Mouna Ayoub was like, check. I mean, I can't. And look what happened now. Here we are, 26 later. Wait until I tell you what happened. Do you want me to tell you?
All right. The highest bid.
The highest bid for this dress, which I will describe, and hopefully if you're watching, you could see what it is, went for $734,000. This one dress that hopefully you see right here, hand painted ecru and rose taffeta pink brocade evening gown with a twisted bodice and boning, strutting, peeking out at the top edge with black tape, side lacing, black webbing straps. Look like it's like pieced together, put together. And ecru silk areas veiled in black silk tulle. It was the highest sold haute couture piece for over 700, more than $500,000.
So what's so interesting about this kind of relates to our last podcast, where we talked about couture now being a marketing tool, and how John Galliano and his Dior collections were the pinnacle of these over-the-top productions.
Like this one.
That people wouldn't wear, and everybody was like, who's going to wear this? How am I going to wear this? What's so fascinating is now, 26 years later, these are the pieces that are garnering the highest price tag.
Right.
It's not a Chanel suit.
No.
It's it's not a day dress.
Right.
Which are all amazing and made
in themselves,
with beautiful craftsmanship. But this kind of proves that the couture pieces that are iconic and viewed as pieces of art are the ones that get the highest price tag. So
So, in the end, John Galliano gets the last word.
Yeah.
Right? Basically.
Right.
Because I'm sure, again, we're talking about during that, it was so scandalous that I'm sure people were like, oh, we're canceling him. I mean, he got canceled later. But anywho, not for this podcast. They, now look at that. That's what's getting it.
Wow.
Whether or not somebody is going to, whoever bought this, whether it's for a museum or to actually just have in a closet and gawk at and show off to your other famous millionaire friends, who knows? All right, number 2, coming in at number 2, it was another evening ensemble from the same homeless John Galliano for Dior Haute Couture collection. This was look number 25. The coat, wait until you see it, had wide-legged trousers of black moss crepe with intentionally distressed fabric caught in the arms, caught in the fabric with houndstooth patterns, and the inset with repair, quote-unquote, pretend repair patches of digitally printed silk of Galliano Dior press clippings, Japanese wrestlers, and others. And it included wide-legged trousers and a black and silver lurex top with intentional ripped holes, threaded with rings, watch cases, and a modern Dior white cotton shirt. This look went for $730,000. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Okay, let's just keep going then. Another highlight that we have to talk about once again from the same collection.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, how many things did she order? Did Mouna Ayoub order? Let me tell you. Okay, this one was a black taffeta evening gown, and it was adorned with blue-gray tinsel tuft fringes, couched metallic ribbon bands, black bugle beaded floral motifs with intentionally frayed and split areas of silk, long, adorned with objects trouvé, including clock keys, miniature liquor bottles, keys, old earrings, and they were all held together with twine. I mean, wait until you see this gown. It just looks like this asymmetrical taffeta gown, but then it's got a chain in the armhole and keys. Once again, it's like almost, I don't know, you would want to say glamorizing this homeless person.
Well, that's the controversy.
Put together this dress from fabric found in a garbage can and then literally held together with twine and mini liquor bottles that are stuck because supposedly the homeless person is, drinking from liquor bottles from the trash.
Right.
Who knows? But this one went for $644,000.
Wow.
From the Couture homeless collection.
And then on top of it, to add to the controversy, isn't this the dress Courtney Love wore to the Golden Globes?
Yep.
Way back then. Mm-hmm. And hers was ripped and torn along the front.
Right.
Revealing, a lot of her chest.
Yes, her front area. Yeah. So it was a version of it.
Yeah.
That I don't know if she ordered it or Dior commissioned it for her. But, by the way, all those little liquor bottles and keys and stuff that look like were just picked up from the trash that were in the original design? She said they were removed. So all those little objects were removed. And guess what she said? Why were they removed? She said, in the interests of good taste. Really, Courtney? Really?
Oh, Courtney had them removed.
Yes.
But not Mouna. Mouna had them.
No. Mouna had them.
She ordered everything as
and
is.
And kept it as is. Yeah, she kept it as is. She even said, the Couture, the homeless collection, created a big uproar. So she knew it. Everybody hated it. And look, she said, I bought the whole collection. She said, because I just loved it. The black gown with the alcohol bottle hanging is the piece that everybody was talking about in Paris. Of course, she was going to order. She said she wore it to the Elton John 70th birthday party and to the closing ceremony of the Cannes Film Festival. She said, it's the only dress I've ever worn twice.
Wow.
Most everything she's either not worn or she's worn only once, which adds to the money, to the provenance, to because they haven't been touched. So there's no underarm stain.
No.
Because she never wore it. Basically, it's just incredible. So last but not least, I want to talk about one other design. This one not being from the Homeless collection, which again also sold for a lot of money. This was from one of Galliano's first ever collections for Christian Dior, Haute Couture, fall winter 1998, 1999, and it was his famous Diorient Express. Diorient, catch the pun there. And this ensemble, this look, it was called La Belle Armande. And it was the collection was an inspiration. Get this, typical Galliano, of course. He had a vision of Pocahontas taking a train trip to England to visit Queen Elizabeth I. I mean, we can't even when we were chairpersons of our fashion school, of the fashion school we used to be employed at, we couldn't get our students to come up with some of this. I'm not going to say the S word. I'll say this stuff, and we would try. I'd be like, give me something. I mean, I would be lucky if I had John Galliano as one of my students. I mean, if one of our students came up to us and said that was going to be their inspiration, I'm like, yes! I mean, so crazy. Pocahontas taking a train trip. And if you saw the collection, there was actually a train, and the models arrived hanging out of the windows in the train. Oh my gosh,
unforgettable.
And again, there was a lot of stuff that maybe, in this day and age, you might, there was a lot of native stuff and colonialism, all this stuff. Anyway, but this particular look, it was a 17th century inspired ensemble, and it comprises of a navy blue wool long dress with a matching jerkin. Anyway, the jerkin and the dress were embroidered by Montex, which is one of the top couture embroidery houses, with gilt thread, gilt passementerie at the shoulders, Algerian-style embroidered bands, Moorish strap work. There were only 3 of these. It was kind of a musketeer look in the collection. This was one of them. Just the specialist embroidery by Montex on this ensemble, to get that done, that cost an estimated 5 figures alone. Just the embroidery. And it involved hundreds of hours of labor. Want to know what this look sold for? $337,000.
Wow.
That's a steal.
Wow. Amazing.
It is a steal. I mean, when you compare to the other ones that sold for over $500,000.
So
for one look, Daddy David.
I know, it's incredible. There is a website that shows everything.
Yes.
Wow.
If you go to Maurice Auction as well as Carrie Taylor Auction House London.com, I don't know. I am plugging these people. They better send me a thank you, some bouquets. And you see them there, and you see the amount. And what I like to do also in Maurice is you can click, you can sort of click so you can see from high to low in terms of the bids.
Like you're buying.
Thank you, Daddy David. If only. By the way, there's another one happening this month. Another Mouna Ayoub auction. This is part 1. This is part 1. Crazy. And again, I just highlighted these 4 Galliano pieces, but there were others from Rolf Simmons, because she was not, once Galliano left, she was a tried and true Christian Dior client. She sure was. And so she ordered many looks from Rolf Simmons' little short time that he was the creative director. And then before Galliano, Marc Bohan ordered from him when she was married. So Marc Bohan, if you know, he was a little more classic designer. And somebody asked, well, because they didn't see any of the Maria Grazia Curie designs. Why aren't these here? And she's all, because I can still fit them.
Well, that was something else I wondered. Yeah.
She says she's not.
Yeah, of course.
Her waist, she says her waist isn't 24 inches anymore.
And so, again, what is she going to do with them?
Right.
Well, that's amazing. And she ordered from many other couture houses.
Yeah, no.
So this isn't it. So we'll see if she goes from house to house with all the different auctions and how she well, it's exciting for us because we get to see it and we get to see how much they sell for and all that. So,
and like you said, I think we part of us, and like you said, I think it was great observation from your viewpoint that she was probably sitting back going, wishing, praying, hoping that her prized haute couture, it's prized to her. I'm sure she was like, I wonder if they're prized to other people.
Yeah.
And so to have this outcome is like, done.
Yeah.
But I'm sure part of her, because again, we don't value clothing the way we used to, because I know the value of haute couture. And it sometimes saddens me when I do go to some other random auction houses and I see, or you go, I think firstdibs.com is one of them, where they're they sell vintage, and they sell vintage true haute couture, like a dress, and it says $1,000. And I'm like, I know that person paid $20.
Yeah.
But here you are selling it. And so, it's like there are some pieces that don't appreciate in value.
Yeah.
And then I think that these, like you said, once again, I'm giving you a lot of bouquets today.
But I also think
David.
it also could be just the care. I mean, the way you said she stores it, the condition. Of course, some of the true vintage pieces from the original designers, Lambam,
those,
they are falling apart. We saw that at the Carrie Taylor auction. So she respected it. She took care of them, and now they're paying their dividends and living on. And I'm sure you said Christian Dior House was there. Who knows if they were the ones that bought these? But they want some of these pieces for historical purposes.
Yeah, you think these couture houses would have a sample of everything?
No,
but no. First of all, back in the Saint Laurent days, back in the 70s and 60s, they didn't even. I don't even think they thought of that. Oh, we need to have an archive of sorts, and so that's why in the recent 20, 30 years they started just attending all of these auction houses to buy their stuff back so they could have an archive. And a lot of them, they gave them to models.
Well, they also, we've heard stories that the women would buy the samples, and that's why a lot of them stayed so small.
Right.
So you could fit into the sample.
Because they had a sample sale of sorts.
Yeah. So they were gone. So the runway samples.
There's no sample now.
It's gone. Yeah. So that's all very interesting.
We want to say thank you, merci to Mouna Ayoub. I do not know you, but darling, you're a diva. You're a queen. And we heart you for at least for all these years keeping haute couture alive. I would love to live my life and actually own haute couture. I've touched haute couture. I've seen it up close. So I know what the value of it, and I don't question a $30,000 jacket from haute couture because I know what goes into it. So anyway, just want to say thank you, and thank you for you guys. I hope you find this as exciting and informative.
Yes,
and get to know the inside dish. If you're a fashion student, you need to know this. You need to know all this dish. Get to know information, and again, we love it. We love this stuff.
All right. Well, next up, figure skating costumes.
Really?
Yeah. We got a whole 2 weeks of figure skating.
We got to get to Milano Cortina.
Let's go.
We ready?
I wish. No 5 suitcases for us like Johnny Weir and Adam Rapon.
Oh my God. I have to put up with all their Instagrams with their suitcases. I wonder how much they got charged. I hope a lot. Oh well. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say goodbye until Milano Cortina and Olympic figure skating costumes.
See you then.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Fashion Daddies is created and hosted by David Paul and Nick Varios. It's produced, edited, sound mixed, and scenic designed by David Paul. I'm just here to entertain.